We cannot tell them what to do, but we must say clearly what we believe. And when there is a reason or when there's a vote on something, we must vote for what we believe. That's democracy. That we must freely express what we believe, not clubbing the other man over his head. But we express what we believe and we vote for what we believe. And that's true democracy. And that's what I say, exercising our human rights.
Nice, nice. You use this mic here, Father. Get this mic working. You know, in your parent what to do. All right. Huh? Yeah, right. So in your talk, you mentioned that it's not so much about judging others for what they believe, but being focused and being sure as to what are your values. And I think that's what goes on in society, where people are caught up in, oh, you believe that and you believe this and whatever, and nobody is really taking into consideration or holding firm on what are their beliefs. And that's the most important thing, and standing firm in what you believe in and respecting other people's views, other person's views, So I remember you said that.
Yeah, and by the way, I find that a lot of Catholics don't do that. Huh? Catholics are what I call no boundary. In other words, you believe that respecting people or to say that you're not judging people mean that you keep quiet and say anything that you do is all right. That's not what it means. No? You must be able to say what you believe clearly without apologizing. So next question. We need more than good talk now. We need some questions.
Good answer, Father. Anybody? So if I have a good answer, nobody? Anybody? Just because the mic in the middle? The Father, that's what going on. So they want Father to leave,
I mean, why would you be afraid to drink in front of me?
Is it that?
I ever say anything is wrong with alcohol? There's nothing whatsoever is wrong with alcohol. No?
Well,
in fact,
hey, hello.
It gladdens the heart. No? Actually,
I'm taking that one.
I believe that somebody should give me a glass of wine. Not too much wine to celebrate my brother's birthday. Again, a lot of you come to the point where you begin to believe that using alcohol is a sin. And that is because you have been listening too much to fundamentalists. Of course, you're not supposed to drink to the point where you become tipsy or drunk. You must always remain sober. But there's nothing wrong in using a little wine. So you guys enjoy yourselves and don't think that because I'm here. I wear this collar because I say that the collar has a right not to remain in the sacristy, but to be in the pub. And wherever human beings are in order to evangelize. No? So don't be afraid to drink a little wine. No? Any other questions? Or comments? Anybody? Any comments? No, not asking questions.
Good evening, Father. How do you deal with? I'm on my workplace at Mount Hope, and there's a lot of, let's say, rude talk, right, about sex and so forth and so on. Now, in an environment like that, am I supposed to speak out against it? Well, speak my belief all the time, or do I clearly state it just once and leave them to talk, the sex talk, and who like it how and these things?
So that's the only thing that they talk about?
Yeah, well, in terms of my beliefs and coming against what I believe in, well, a few obscene language might pass here and there due to vexation. But the main thing really on my workplace is sex talk, and it's mostly women. I deal with.
Well, you don't want to say it's mostly women. No.
That
We
I
have
deal
all
with
these women
at
here.
work. At my workplace, it's because
Okay.
I work in a kitchen.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's mostly women, cooks and food service people. So it's mostly cooks at my workplace, so, and kitchen females, and they speak about this constantly.
freely, and
Freely.
They don't. And you feel that there's a lack of respect for what sex is in terms of what they say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they show lack of respect, well, I would say that that cannot be good. But apart from that, I suppose that when women come together, they have to talk about their lives. They do, right? But it all depends on what you talk about. If you do not honor sex for what it is, which is something that is sacred, something that is holy, then something is wrong. If you talk about it in simply about running around the place, then that is not good. You see, but if it's two women talking about the experience, because probably one might feel they need some help, then it's difficult for me to pass a judgment on that. But what I would say is that people must always respect sexuality for what it is. We must never make it something that is cheap. We must always see it as one of the ways in which we participate in something that is divine. And the indecent words and so forth, I really don't see no need for it if in fact other people feel disrespectful. But the fact that they talk about it freely in front of you and don't care what you think as a male, I'm a little surprised. I thought that the female would have kept it to themselves, unless of course they're trying to flirt. That's what they're doing?
No, well, they speak about it freely amongst each other, and I'm there.
And you're there. Well,
Yeah.
that's among you two.
Yeah, among me. Yeah.
But you don't think they're flirting with you?
Some of them do, yes.
Okay,
Not all.
well, we'll tell him here, just got to be careful. You have to hold fast to the truth. Now hold fast, be firm.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, well, Kevin has been firm all the time, so let us applaud him. That's good. Firm. We have another question.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Father,
Yep.
you were mentioning before with regards to our culture, right? Definitely our parents, they grew up in, I would consider they grew up in a different culture altogether from what we have grown up in, right? And basically youths growing up in a culture would definitely have to approach things in life differently. And the way that they approach vocations, which whether it be marriage, single life, right, or priesthood, or being a nun, right, they would have approached it differently in their culture. What is your advice to us as young people approaching our vocations within this culture currently?
I suppose the difference really has a lot to do with the sexual revolution. You see, you're in a culture where everybody feel that you must have sex. And if you don't have sex, they see you as somewhat weird. Or if you're a man and you don't have sex, they think you probably might be a homosexual or something. And so what is happening, a lot of people have to show that they're involved. You have to show that you had sex, so you're a big man. You have to prove yourself. And that is why the women might be talking about it too. Lots of men, when they have sex with females, sometimes they talk about it in this way. In a way that is not good. But they're simply trying to boast that they're trying to show that they're men. Now, if you're going to live like that in this world, without really stopping to reflect on what God is asking you to do, then we're hardly going to have priests and nuns, religious people. What I think that all of us are supposed to do is not listening to our peers who make sex the most important thing in life, where you cannot but talk about it all the time. But you see, what you have to do, you have to stop and ask yourselves, what is it that God is calling me to do? Otherwise, you might really find somebody that you love and you believe love you. But after getting married, you realize, but this life is not for me. And probably that is why a lot of people in their marriage, they're not happy. They have chosen the wrong thing. And that is because they never give themselves enough time to think about life. You begin to pay off in high school. That's what they do in our culture today. You pay off in high school. So you never really get the time to ask yourself, what is it that God is asking of me? What do you want of me, Lord? Do you want me to be a single person? And if you're single, you ought to be celibate if you're going to live the life of the disciple. Do you want me to be a religious sister, brother? Do you want me to be a priest? Do you want me to be a married man or a married woman? You have to ask yourselves that and not allow yourselves to be influenced even by the rest of your family or your friends. Because you see, when you start off in doing what you want to do, you're going to do it alone. And when you get yourself in misery, they could only stand by and feel sorry for you and try to help. And most of the time they won't be able to help. That's your Lord. So you have to make a choice on your own. But first of all, by reflecting and ask God, what is it that you want of me, Lord? What you want me to do for you? What do you think of that?
Well, I want to ask a further question, right? With regards to you choosing your vocation, how much time you would say that you reflected on it? Because I realize it's a trending thing now, as time. Right? I don't know if you agree with me or not. Time is the major factor in our culture right now. It's either we want things now, or we don't want it at all, or we want it now. Right?
Well, again, I think that I come from a different generation.
Right, that's what I was saying, so, you
exactly.
know.
So he's well aware I'm from a different generation.
Well, clearly,
you're
Father.
trying to say
I
that
mean,
I'm
clearly.
old.
Well, Father, I mean, I was here young.
Okay, well, I mean, I grew up always wanting to be a priest.
All right.
I always liked the part of Mass where the priest lifts up the host. And I know I wanted to do that even without understanding it. But I remember about 3 years before I entered the seminary, I did not talk to anybody about it. To the point where a brother of mine thought I wasn't bothering with the idea. And the bishop at the time, he thought I changed my mind.
Right.
But that's because I think I was reflecting a little more. You see, sometimes when you want to be a priest in a Protestant place, even in my time, you have some of this thing about sexuality. Now, how can anybody live their lives without sex? That cannot be done. If you're a human being, you must have sex. Otherwise, you can't be normal. And of course, I live among people who, because they didn't like the Catholic Church, did not want me to enter into the priesthood.
Right.
I used to teach. The headmaster was Seventh-day Adventist. And he was trying to get me and a teacher together so that I would forget the whole idea.
Okay.
I have an aunt who decided that if you do law, I will pay for you,
Wow.
but not the priesthood. But what I wanted is a priesthood, and I chose it. So those years, when I remained rather quiet about it, was because I was reflecting. But what I find with a lot of young people today, it is always difficult for them. They're thinking about it, the religious life and the priesthood. Sometimes they believe God is calling them to that. But they find it difficult to say yes. They don't want to make the decision. They simply think about it. What the church is saying is that with God, you can't be thinking in terms like this morning. Foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have their nests, but the Son of Man has no way to lay his head. Don't look for certainty. Don't look for, where am I going to live? Simply throw in the towel with the Lord and follow him if he's asking you to follow him. Everything will work out itself as you go along.
Okay. I agree. Thanks, Father.
Very well.